polarized dish, polarized adjacent. Oh, we're live, boys. Welcome, America, to the Eric and Rodney Show with Robin. It's presented by offensively creative Dinsmore, Steel, and Valari. And ladies and gentlemen, very special guest today, the inventor of the online marketplace, Elias Chavando. Welcome. Hey.
Welcome to the show.
Not only did you invent online marketplaces, but you're in California. It's very early there. So thank you. You're very, very big, very famous. I mean, Amazon, holy shit, I love your work. But Uber is a new project. We're going to get to that.
Yes.
But first, first we have to cover the news because America demands our opinions on such things. And Elias, I mentioned this in the green room, every day here in the United States and the world really is some day to celebrate, some national day. So we like to call attention to those because I don't think some certain things, if you don't call attention to them in your life, they simply exist and you never pay attention to them. Today is one of those things. It's National Sandwich Day. That's got to be very exciting. Who doesn't enjoy a good sandwich, right? Yeah. Boys, sandwiches?
Yeah,
Can't we all go along with that? Okay, but I needed a jumping off point for discussion. So someone on the internet ranked the sandwiches, the best sandwiches of all time. I don't know what your personal lists are, but this is what the internet says. The internet says that the greatest sandwiches of all time is the bacon, egg, and cheese, which is that's a terrible choice. It's a fine sandwich, but the greatest sandwich of all time?
No.
A bacon, egg, and cheese? No.
It's pretty popular in New York. I won't lie to you. They're like, you want a bacon, egg, and cheese, salt, pepper, a little ketchup?
I don't think there's nothing wrong with the bacon, egg, and cheese. I just don't think it belongs in the pantheon of great sandwiches. Maybe in the top 20, but one?
No.
I
agree with you.
Thank you.
I would argue number 3 could possibly be first.
I think pulled pork is finally a reasonable answer. It wouldn't be in mine, but a grilled cheese is a 2-ingredient sandwich. Under no circumstance should a 2-ingredient sandwich be the number 2 sandwich of all time, right?
An Asian sandwich made number 4, banh mi. Have you guys had a Vietnamese sandwich?
I love banh mi's with every fiber of my being.
That would be my first, yeah.
A BLT too is a great sandwich. Again, I mean, I don't know what the qualifications are.
If we're looking at this list and picking, I would say my absolute favorite would be lobster roll.
I love lobster rolls.
Lobster roll is like $85 here, so you gotta
get a
lobster roll for the whole family. And then
85. Do you have a coupon code? That's cheap. Why are lobster rolls so fucking? It's a hot dog bun with the sea insect inside.
I think it's the bread. It's the bread.
The hot dog bun is very expensive these days. Elias, how do you feel about this sandwich lineup?
Pulled pork is probably very popular in the South. Yeah, that's probably where all the votes came from. I would go with the Cubano. Cubano is good.
Oh, the Cuban sandwich is such a delight.
Sandwich is good.
Yes. The mustard.
Why did they stop at 14?
Well, no, there's more. I'm going to pull up the rest of them. Okay, this is another thing I wanted to get into since the show has no credibility. What makes a sandwich a sandwich? If a lobster roll is not a sandwich, or if it is a sandwich, does that mean a hot dog's a sandwich? It's still meat inside a bun. Is a taco a sandwich?
But is a cheeseburger a sandwich?
Well, it's got to be, right?
I thought a sandwich, to be honest, was when you had 2 pieces of bread. Because I heard this morning, right? I was reading The Hustle or The Brew or some newsletter I'm on. And they said that Earl Sandwich of Sandwich.
Yeah, the guy that invented them.
Yeah. Said, let's call them sandwiches. And they
so the Earl of Sandwich called them a sandwich. Oh, that's weird.
He said, fetch me some meat with 2 pieces of bread.
And look at this. You know what the club sandwich does? The club sandwich adds a 3rd piece of bread. So is that a sandwich? Like, what's the definition of a sandwich?
Yeah. I would say if that's the question, then most of this stuff that what's number 16? I've never even seen that.
Croque Madame. This is a French abomination where they put a goddamn egg on top.
Right. Now the Reuben 17, I could get behind that. That's really something.
The Reuben at 17 is an abomination. The Reuben needs to be a top 10 sandwich. I would argue perhaps a top 5 sandwich. The Reuben is incredible.
I agree.
Can I make one other observation?
Yes.
Is that if you look at number 26, the roast beef.
Yeah.
All of us were probably wondering how Arby's is in business. Apparently, this is the answer because I never see anyone at Arby's.
No.
I'll give one caveat. If you go to like a local roast beef place in Massachusetts, they do this version of the sandwich, but it's 1,000 times better. Arby's is the shittiest version of that thing. And if you had a real roast beef around here, you go, I get it. Yeah. Arby's is just fucking it up.
Yeah. I always believe that Arby's and the mattress stores are just money laundering operations.
They have to be because no one's ever in there.
No one's there. No. They have the meats.
They have the meats. Yeah.
Is a
hamburger a sandwich? It's a good point.
Well,
it is.
If a hamburger is a sandwich and it doesn't make this list, like a bagel with lox isn't a sandwich, is it?
That's a bagel.
That's a bagel. Yes.
Or
I don't know, man.
as one of my friends used to call it, right? And this was his terms, not mine. A Jewish hamburger.
A Jewish hamburger. That's fine because you're from New York. You can say these things.
Yeah.
The caprese panini is a delightful. Anytime you get mozzarella and balsamic vinegar, that's a good sandwich.
That is true. PB&J as well. I
think peanut butter jelly is like one of those. They're throwing it in there because it has to be. I mean, it's a great thing. But right. I don't know. All right, can we go real quick? Favorite sandwiches? I'm gonna go. I don't want to copy Rodney, but man, the lobster roll. If I see lobster roll, I get like sexually.
The Northeast. We're in the Northeast, so that's why.
Right.
It's big times here.
All right, so you're going lobster roll. Elias, you're going with the Cuban.
I'm going with the Cuban. Second choice, the Italian.
Yeah, the Italian. I know. I think Italian might have to be, if objectively, might have to be number one. Like I know I prefer lobster roll, but Italian's a close.
We found out yesterday, Elias. Just newsflash. We found out yesterday when we had a gentleman on that used to work at Jimmy John's that Jimmy John's has, and you may know this, but Jimmy John's has an Italian sub called the Italian Nightclub. So.
Have you ever had an Italian nightclub?
I haven't.
Caesar has always he's just a delightful repository of knowledge when it comes to.
And if they were psilocybin buns, imagine they were psilocybin buns. It'll be a sandwich you'll never forget.
If there was a psilocybin sandwich, and it's not number one, I don't know what to say about this country. All right, let's get to the news so we can get to the.
Well, happy Sandwich Day.
Happy Sandwich Day, everybody.
We all gotta have a sandwich.
We should have some tacos. Is a taco a sandwich? Can we talk about that real quick?
It is a different kind of sandwich. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's a bread-like thing with meat-like things in it. So
that's
sandwich.
Right.
All right, Robin. What do we get in the news? You heard it here first. Tacos and sandwich.
The first news story is a bit shocking, but what causes the phenomenon is actually a bit more shocking. Yeah. So the statistic is globally male sperm count has fallen by an average of about 50% in the past 50 years. That's kind of shocking. So they're doing studies to find the cause on why this is happening. So whether it's about toxins in food, obesity, chronic disease, or pollution. But so far, the most plausible theory is it's actually caused by cell phone use.
That's right. Ooh. So they're saying, so I was thinking about this too. I was like, my cell phone's never near my crotch, but then I looked at this picture. I'm like, yeah, it is. And then like, also you put your cell phone in your pocket. I was like, oh shit, that's where my balls are. So yeah, I guess it does make sense. But so this is fucked up. There's 8,000 studies on like chocolate and coffee and drinking booze, but they're not quite sure why sperm counts have fallen by 50% in the last 50 years. Cell phones haven't been around for 50 years. So this doesn't exactly correlate. But they did say that it was the worst in the last 50 years from the years 2005 to 2007. And those are the years of 2G and 3G. They're saying 4 and 5G are fine. You can put the cell phone near your balls again. But if you had a razor, it destroyed your sperm count.
I have a question, 2 questions actually. How are they measuring sperm count? Someone counting?
You know what?
That's
a career. That's a career. Goal to be a sperm counter.
A professional sperm counter.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Who's doing the test? And then I guess the second one is has 5G come out yet? I know we're all waiting for it. They said it was going to cure COVID, or maybe it caused COVID, or did it cause it? Okay,
it did one of those two things.
Has it come out yet?
I'm not sure, but I
because I remember people telling us it was going to change. The internet was going to be so fast. If we thought about something, it was going to appear. I have not experienced that yet. I might be still on 3G. It
could be. How's your sperm count? That's a good way to know.
I don't know.
If your sperm count's low, you might be on 2 or 3G.
I've got to find a sperm counter for it. Who can I employ?
I will say when we were trying to conceive and it was taking a little long, my wife was freaking out. So I had to go get my sperm count checked. So I did have to go to the thing. Oh. They do have porn magazines so I went to Mass General, which is voted every year either the number 1-2 hospital in the world or the country. I went there. You got to do the thing in the cup. And then I've never been more nervous for a test because if my sperm count was low, I don't know. I would feel, I know it's not my fault necessarily. It's the Motorola Razor's fault. But doesn't that make you feel less of a man?
Got to do some push-ups, run around the building a couple of times, come back in.
We have a volunteer sperm counter, everybody. Melissa, welcome back to the show.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm so glad. But don't you find this concerning? So they said that cell phones emit low-level frequency electromagnetic fields. And I guess we know that. But we hold them to our crotches and we hold them to our heads. Doesn't that seem like a bad idea?
It does.
Yeah.
It's like for years, old smokers, they'll go, I didn't know it was bad for me. You didn't know inhaling black smoke into your lungs was bad for you? Are you stupid? Now we know that these things emit electromagnetic fields and we hold them up to our brains. That seems dumb, doesn't it?
So you're saying smoking's bad?
Well, from what I'm no smoke doctor, but I think I've heard the numbers seem to be up.
Well, it was very healthy in the 1920s. Remember, I mean, doctors would prescribe smoking as a cure for everything.
Everything. This is why being pro science is tough sometimes. Between the leeches and the smoking, we learn slowly.
Yeah. It's a slow burn.
Experts
also,
say
cocaine chewing gum was a thing, right?
Cocaine chewing. Well, cocaine was in Coca-Cola. Lithium was in Sprite. It was a better time to be alive.
You're not going to believe what was in Pepsi.
Sperm.
Black tar heroin.
Black tar. Remember that Dane Cook thing where he was like, "You're not going to believe what drugs they were doing. Black tar heroin." He was great.
I love
what
that.
happened to Dane. Come back, Dane.
Andy, this does bring me up to another point, is that I'm not necessarily anti low sperm count, because do we need more humans? We do 2 stories on this show. We're overpopulated and we're underpopulated. I got to tell you, though, underpopulation sounds much better. No lines. We can all go to the Super Bowl. Wouldn't the world be a better place if there was less people?
Perhaps.
Less business for the marketplaces, though. And Elias,
no, we need more people.
We need more marketplace. We need one marketplace, more people.
That's it.
Yeah,
we need more people.
We need more people in the name of capitalism. I support that. I'm coin operated. All right, what else do we got? Low sperm counts. What are we following this up with?
Okay, yes. So here was the story. I wasn't sure where you guys lie on the problem. So you Americans have something called DoorDash that is used as a delivery partner for restaurants. So the way I understand it is the compensation for the drivers is relying on the customers to tip, and that's how they make most of their money, right? It's kind of like the servers in America as well. So it's problematic because tipping for customers is completely optional, and there's a big chance that drivers barely make any money. So wouldn't it just make sense if DoorDash just paid these people like adequate wages instead?
Well, they work for themselves, right? Aren't they independent contractors?
Is DoorDash?
I don't know.
Like
I know with Uber, like I have a friend who drives Uber. He's like a retired guy. He does Uber Eats. And I asked him, how does it work? He's like, what's my car? They give me the leads or the load or what the deliveries. He's like, and I keep the tip and they get a piece of the action.
Oh, so that's interesting. So if that's the case,
but he works for himself. He doesn't work for Uber.
So you don't collect a paycheck from DoorDash, Grubhub, or Uber Eats. It's all tip.
Well, you do, but what I mean is that's like, well, the tips I guess come directly to you. I didn't get into that specific part, but my point is he doesn't get an hourly wage from Uber.
No, they're all independent contractors, and here's the thing, Robin, that people don't know this, but people that own restaurants don't know this, but DoorDash charges the restaurant up to 40% commission.
40?
Yeah.
Well, that's how they make money.
That's how they make money.
40%? Oh my God.
So I think the minimum is 20, isn't it? That's what I heard.
Minimum is 20 to 40. Yeah. And they're, I mean, they're, I don't know how I describe this unnecessary things, but if you're a big chain restaurant, they don't charge you a commission. So they only penalize the little ones. Why? Because they want to have the big ones in their menus. So if you go to any specific restaurant or a smart restaurant owner, he will have 2 menus, one for the patrons that go into the store and one for DoorDash, which is usually 20, 30, 40% higher.
Wow. That's crazy. I had no idea. So here's the thing about the tipping with the DoorDash thing. So the whole premise of the article is that now DoorDash drivers will know if they're getting a tip or if they're not getting a tip. So they're going to prioritize the orders that have already pre-tipped, which makes sense. That
sounds like common sense. Yeah.
That sounds like common sense, right? And here's the thing too. In the zeitgeist, we tip delivery drivers. That's normal, right? We tip waiters and waitresses. That's normal. I think what is happening here is that people are backlashing against tips because everybody uses these fucking machines now. So like we talking about the green room. If I buy a donut at the local donut store, they swing this around and I'm like, what am I going to not tip? That makes me look like a dick because I'm staring at you. But this happens for everything now. You can't go to any store without them asking for a tip. So we're tipping on things we wouldn't normally tip on. The
How
backlash.
How many donuts did you buy here?
I bought I bought 10,000 donuts. Is that too many donuts? Let's throw a party. But you know what I mean? It's conceptually bizarre. In other countries, tipping isn't really a thing. But our when I was a bartender, I used to make like $1.30 an hour. I don't know how this is legal. And then you lived off of tips. So in the industries where we're supposed to tip, we should be tipping.
I always thought it would make sense, and this is just me brainstorming, to pay people at bars and restaurants a normal wage, $15, $20, whatever it is. And crazy idea. You ready for it? Let them keep the tips.
Right.
It's insanity.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre.
Working in service anyways.
Yeah, there's a segment of the population that you can pay under minimum wage. Like that's bizarre.
I don't think there should be any section of the population. It's insanity.
Yeah, and restaurants if they can't survive paying their employees minimum or a living wage, like shouldn't you rework the books somehow? My point is, am I allowed to charge people less?
The other thing is that they should allow online ordering. It's not that hard to build online restaurants. There's a local place up the street from my house. It's actually easier to go on their website. It's a Chinese restaurant. Easier to go on their website, order everything I want, pay for it, and go get it in the time that I can explain to Uber what's going on.
Exactly. But the problem is when you order online, inevitably they're going to ask you for a tip. I was like, I ordered, I'm going to drive to your place and pick it up. You haven't served me and you're still asking for 20%. I don't know. I don't want to sound cheap, but like we're tipping for everything. It seems a bit much.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of tips, but you know what? You could always see, here's the thing. You're looking at it wrong, Eric. Maybe you're looking at it wrong. You say to them, listen, here's a tip. Make sure if your cell phone's not working that you completely turn it off and then turn it back on. And then
here's a tip: get the cell phone away from your balls. You're gonna have children.
And that's a better tip, yeah.
That's a better tip. Listen, I can give you $5.
A real world tip. You know what I mean? Exactly. I can give you $5, but you're just gonna waste it. This is something that will last forever.
Exactly. Knowledge lasts forever.
Right.
Robin, so what's the deal in the Philippines? Do you guys tip your delivery drivers?
We do, but it's completely optional, and they do get an hourly wage from the companies itself.
A livable wage?
Yes, the delivery company pays them, not the restaurants.
Now, this is an interesting segue into the next story because it seems like another case of Stockholm syndrome. Like Filipino restaurants have figured out how to pay their people a livable wage. We have not, but we cry about tips. Okay, so let's go into this next one. You're gonna see how it all ties together.
I don't see how it ties together, but okay, let's get into it. So this topic is discussing a topic that was a topic on another podcast, and we decided to talk about it on this one. So Joe Rogan,
very meta,
and one of his recent guests were talking about how the American schooling system is kind of indoctrinating and radicalizing the children to hate America. So they're giving examples, and I'm not sure if these were true statements or they're just saying this off the cuff. So they're claiming teachers are making them write school assignments, and they give them scenarios like, imagine you are a Palestinian freedom fighter. Here in the United States, what are some ways you can help Palestinians in Gaza be free? And they're also giving bonus points from if they participate in Free Palestine rallies.
Yeah. So first of all, this is a lot of camouflage for a podcast. I can barely see these guys. Why you need to camouflage yourself in a podcast studio, I'll never know. Second of all, this article is wildly disingenuous because you're right. It muddies the water. He's not saying that third grade teachers are assigning these assignments. He's saying, what if? And that's a dumb article. That's a dumb premise to write an article about. In the thing about extra, there's so much to this fucking article. The thing about teachers going, oh, you should protest. Freedom of assembly is a First Amendment right. The reason that women can vote is because people protested. The reason there's civil rights is because people protested. And why half the country is like anti-protesting is so fundamentally stupid. That half, by the way, loves the First Amendment, but hates the idea of like fucking freedom of assembly for some reason. I don't. Hating America is another odd concept to me. What does it mean to hate America? Okay, so you've convinced a bunch of third graders who want nothing to do with the assignment that now they hate America. Now what happens? They're radicalized how? Are third graders going to war? Are they voting?
They become freedom fighters.
Yeah, right. It's so fucking like this must be a talking point because my libertarian friend was up from Florida this weekend. So he was like, they're fucking radicalizing the children. I was like, oh God. And then this. So it must be a talking point that's going around now. Teachers, oh my God, they need to make more money.
These two guys here are radicalizing, or I'm so
no, they're anti-radicalization. No, they're anti the teachers radicalizing the children. And the thing I said to my libertarian friend is, if we're radicalizing children, it's not working. Donald Trump was president, okay? He's wildly right. Then we got Biden, who's wildly left. The Senate and the House are pretty evenly split. The only thing that's radicalized is the Supreme Court. So if we're radicalizing, it's not working because the country's still fucking 50-50. Elias, what do you, I know you're, I've looked at some of your posts. You seem to be right leaning. How do you feel about this?
You know, yes, I mean, we have to fix the school system. I mean, I remember going to school and pledging allegiance to the flag every single morning. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You know, the mentioning of God is not there, which is absolutely ridiculous. There's the separation of state and church does not mean that. That means that the church cannot rule the state. That's it. But it doesn't to prevent you from practicing your faith or expressing your faith or expressing your beliefs. And the fact that children, I mean, two things. Teachers want to radicalize our children. And the second thing, that the most important thing is stop blaming the teachers. It's the parents that have the first right of educating their children, right? I mean, teachers are not the educators per se. They provide education in the fact of books and assignments and what have you, but the core of the children's formation and foundation and everything else comes from the parents. But the parents want to delegate the most important thing that they have to do.
Well, I was just thinking in terms of radicalization, and I just think people should be consistent in their beliefs. I think to some degree, like I had to do the Pledge of Allegiance every day, but that's a form of radicalization. One nation under God, like you're making everybody chant a certain thing in ideology. Chanting an ideology every morning is radicalization, whether or not you like it or not. It just fucking is. The same thing with religion is famously, people get radicalized more often than not when it comes to religion, right? Like I love the Patriots with every fiber of my being. I'm not going to kill a Jets fan. I don't care that much. But with religion, people start wars. You know what I mean? So just if we're going to radicalize, you have to be consistent with your beliefs in radicalization. It can't be like, oh, you can radicalize it as long as I believe in that cause. You know what I mean? Like I'm against children chanting anything. I hate group chants. I think it's group think. Whatever it is, even if it's like Tom Brady. I love Tom Brady. We should be chanting about Tom Brady. You know what I mean?
We should not. Fanatism is not good. That's for sure. But let me tell you what, it worked. Whatever we were doing, it worked. America became the greatest power on earth in the history of Earth, and it worked.
That's true. There are positives to radicalization. There are. They just simply are.
I mean, it simply worked. We're a nation that you can practice your religion, you know, and people take that for granted. But you can practice whatever you want. I mean, you can make your children whatever you want here. And
it's crazy. And they let whoever have children. You don't have to fill out any forms. You could just have kids and do whatever you want to them within reason.
Right. Right.
I did want to say this though.
It worked.
Speaking of your point about education, so these guys are like, oh, the education's fucking going to the tubes. So I was like, all right, let me look this up. These are the overall ranks of the global education's whatever. I don't know how they do this, but we come in at 36 out of 195 countries. Pretty bad for the richest country on the planet. Mm-hmm. These are in mathematics, reading, and science scores. These are pretty take social studies out of this, right? These are like pretty core things that we need to all learn. And 36 is not good, right?
Well, let me tell you what. Anything that comes out of China, when it comes to statistics and numbers, you can basically dismiss that as fake.
That's true.
I've been to China, the real China.
Yep.
Okay, and there's two Chinas, right? The Chinese population that live in the big cities, which 1% of them are extremely rich, 99% are extremely poor. And then you have the rural China. I mean, I went from Beijing to all the way to the west of China, 36 hours on a train, then a bus and then a mule to go into the border of Mongolia and China. I have never seen so many tiny, skinny, little, uneducated, poor, starving people. There are. First of all, there are not too many. I mean, you can go on a train for 12 hours and not see another human. But it's not what you think. I mean, it's just a huge propaganda machine. I mean, they're investing money. They're investing our money. We pay them to become rich. And they're investing our money to tell the world that they're the greatest. They're not.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have to agree with Elias on this one. If you come to Asia, you're gonna have a huge culture shock when you see all these poor kids, man.
Yeah. I mean, they always scare us. Oh, they have the greatest military and they have 2 million soldiers. Okay, have you ever shot Chinese bullets? Have you ever been to a practice range and shot Chinese bullets? 3 out of 10 will get stuck in your pistol or your rifle. Period. End of text. Have you ever seen? I mean, it's not it's not that I'm being racist or anything like that, but have you ever seen them driving? They're not good at driving. Do you think they're going to be good fighter pilots? I mean, it is the bottom line. Their bullets don't work. They're not very sharp at driving. They're maybe they're good at video games and what have you, but it is the true fact. We shouldn't be scared, and we shouldn't believe what they say. They are poor. They have concentration camps. Our clothes are probably made out of a concentration camp with 13-year-old kids. Anyway.
I totally agree with you. And I did a paper on this in college. So it all bears out what I already thought. But to your point, yesterday, a guy died. Robin, who was the guy before the guy they have, the prime minister? I forget his name. Anyway, the president.
Ex-Premier Lee. Yeah.
Yeah. So Lee, they coined a term meant, so he would always give the real numbers. So you had to, back when he was the leader, he would give you the honest answer. And then when this new guy took over, it was back to lying about everything. So they know they lied to the point where oh, you did real math? Well, that's this guy over here. Normally we're totally full of shit. So yes, you're absolutely right. Thank you for saying that. Everyone's so afraid of China.
Can I point out one thing too, though? Also, I have a question. Who the hell has ever made a 613 on a math test?
Well,
seriously. I've never even made 481 on a math test. The best I ever got was 100.
Let me tell you who does that. Okay, it's very simple. You go to any college, you go to USC, you go to Harvard, or what have you, and you're going to see these foreign students from China, who can barely speak English, who can barely add and subtract, but somehow they pass the SAT at a high score. How? Because they paid someone. They passed the TOEFL exam. They paid someone to get here, and they probably their parents, if they're rich, they give a big donation. And you know how to tell if a true mainland China family is rich is because they have brothers and sisters. And
true.
And it is all fake. I'm telling you, to any university, and you can immediately tell you shouldn't be here.
Of course. Well, you look at all the celebrities always go to Ivy League schools. Like Ashton Kutcher decides he wants to go to Harvard. He gets into Harvard. You know why? Because he has fucking $10 million. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. And I'm sure the premise exists if you're rich anywhere. We just don't hear about it because they're not famous. What's that?
He also knew Charlie.
That helps. That helps a lot. All right. Well, I'm glad that it headed.
Rodney Dangerfield went to school. Remember, back to school.
I do remember. And he had a hilarious time. Movie. It was great. Kurt Vonnegut was one of the professors. Yeah. All right, we have 3 minutes. Let's do this one real quick because I find this to be endlessly hilarious. Before we get to Elias, the mediums.
Yeah.
Let's do the mediums.
Okay, so just when we thought Florida couldn't get weirder, we get proved wrong again and again. It always gets weirder. So there's this town in Florida. It's called the Casadaga Spiritual Camp. So I don't know if it's a town or a camp. So the people that manage this town, they provide mediums for the visitors and tourists to talk to the dead. So I read through the article, and they have some kind of Tinder-like system where you're matched and paired with a reverend or healer, and they kind of guide you through a spiritual journey while you visit the place. So I often wonder how many people really believe in this, but there are at least 15,000 people visiting this place a year. That's a lot of people.
Yep. So you can talk to your dead grandmother as long as you give him $50. So that's nice, right? Isn't it? And she's out there. She wants to talk to you, but what you need is somebody from this place.
Going on with that sign. I got it. Can we go back to that sign for a second?
Keep in mind, this is Florida, so this is very, this is very Floridian. But look at does this advertising look like people that can talk? Father Christopher's in, Lucy's there, for a small donation. Can I just show you what made me think real hard about the legitimacy of this place? This is one of the mediums. His name is Richard. If my medium's a fat, white, bald guy, I'm going to name Richard. I need tassels and crystals and a chick that hasn't showered in 3 months.
Hold on. Is this Mike Huckabee?
Mike Huckabee.
Is this him? He's hawking those pills again.
For $50, Mike Huckabee can contact your grandfather. Here's a real easy test. You go into one of these guys, you go, I want to talk to my mother. Bring her up. I go, what's your social security number? When they can't come up with that, doesn't you go, oh, okay, no, that's not it. It's not her. She would know her social security number, wouldn't she?
There are no social security numbers in heaven.
Yeah, but don't you remember it?
But here's the one I need to know. What's the lottery numbers for tomorrow? Just write them down.
Right.
The lottery is the classic example of oh man, why is it Richard here? Which I think Robin, do you believe in this? You'd go to this place, right?
Yeah, I would pay $50 for this.
You talk to Lucy or Father Christopher? Elias,
where do you to Lucy and Father Christopher?
I hope you got $100. Oh, they said that. Okay, so here's the thing: to become one of these people, you need to go to school for 4 to 6 years to get your certificate, your medium certificate. There's no online courses either. You have to do it at this camp. So they said that they're running out of mediums. There's too much demand, not enough mediums because nobody.
Does it reference the university program on here? Now let me ask you a question. Hold on a second. Was this offered at the Trump University? Was this a course that was?
It was a prerequisite to get in. You had to.
Okay.
It was a PhD level, a graduate level. Yeah.
Wait, actually, one of the healers on their board has a PhD. I shit you not.
Oh, of course. I mean, you have
from Trump University or
that I didn't check.
DeBry.
God damn it! That's what I was trying to think of. Oh, you beat me to it, son of a bitch. Elias, do you believe that mediums can speak to the dead?
Let me tell you what. Two thoughts on that. We're so lost in this world. Okay, one thing is we're so lost. The second thing, I didn't believe in mediums until I actually met one. But the difference between this guy and the ones that you see on the street is this guy was extremely wealthy. I visited his house in Mexico once, and he called me. He sent a limo driver to pick me up, and he called me while I was on the way to there. He says, "You have to apologize. We have a little construction in the front yard, and there's a little mess." I said, "Oh, Esteban was his name. Esteban, don't worry. I'm fine." So I asked the driver, I said, "What kind of construction is he doing?" "Oh, he's building 35 houses in the front yard of this property." I mean, that's how rich this guy was.
I'm in the wrong business.
I know, but it was very, very scary. And he could see. I mean, I took him to the airport once. I had a radio company, and he was one of my collaborators in the radio show, just like me. I'm doing this podcast. He would come and give his opinion about whatever. And he was in Los Angeles. I took him to the airport, but I was on my way to New York. On the way to the airport, I'm driving a convertible car. I get a phone call from the person I was going to meet with in New York the next day. Okay, I'm taking the red eye to New York. I answer the phone. I hang up the phone. He asked me, "Have you ever met this lady?" I said, "No." She said, "Oh," he said, the medium guy. He said, "Well, she's about 5'5". She has black hair, blah, 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 blah. She described this lady. I'm like, "Hey, shut up. I'm just going to drop you here on the 405. When I get to New York the next morning, it's exact picture of who he described.
See, he should use his powers for good and get her social security number.
Well, he did. I'm telling you, he was extremely wealthy.
Well, you know what I could see is I could see me and him being fast friends. That's what I could see in the future.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he died a couple of years ago.
Oh, no.
No.
God.
I could talk to him.
I could have seen it coming.
Oh, shit. Now we need a medium to talk to the medium.
Yeah.
Now this is where it becomes.
We got to go to this camp. Where's this camp at? Do they have a pickleball courts?
You know what? It's right near the Disney World. Disney World.
Can we just talk about this sign for just 1 second? The books and gifts, please lose that. Welcome Center information. Is that certified, or are the healers and mediums? And here's the other thing. I don't think you can be healers and mediums. You just got to be mediums.
Oh, that's a good point. So, I mean, this does do a deep dive. They say that these mediums can't use tarot cards. They can't use crystals. It has to, there's no, you can't use anything. So there's some sort of.
Well, how do they do the healing? With their hands, or?
I think, yes, it's Reiki. How do you say that?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
There's a lady up the street that does that stuff.
For $50?
I don't know what it's for.
All right. Hey, listen, you know what time it is? It's Elias time. Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
yeah.
I did some research on you, and you invented marketplaces, which is great.
Yes, I invented the yellow pages. You had to go
invented back. The yellow man. You're a prolific.
Now, Jeff Bezos, he was working for you. What was he like?
Okay, so take us to 1996. This is when you started Auto Trader. Can you give us the origin story, the superhero tale?
96 was actually Recycler. Recycler was the most popular classified newspaper in Los Angeles. It still is very, very, very popular. I mean, online marketplaces date back to newspapers, right? Or yellow pages, where people would put an ad. Somebody would see the ad, call them, buy the stuff. Yeah. Bezos, I mean, he took it to a different level. He sacrificed everything. And as a matter of fact, my wife and I were in a photo shoot with him in 1998. And it was for people in Espanol. And I approached him. I said, "You're not Hispanics. He said, "Shh, I need the publicity." And he gave me his cell phone. I still have his cell phone number. He still uses.
Let's call him.
Yeah, let's see what's up.
We need to speak with you.
Yeah. I'm waiting for
late
that.
With my toilet paper.
But you were sort of born into this too. But with the classifieds, your mother owned a stationery store, right?
My mother owned a stationery store. Yes, 1977, we bought a stationery store and was the #1 independent expendio. I don't know how to say it, but basically every Tuesday at 6 a.m, there was a line of 200-300 people waiting for us to open the store, so they could fill out the form, and we would charge them per letter. Okay, not per word, per letter, on what they would put on the classified ad. We would get the form, 4 carbon copies, give one to them, one for us to keep. We would charge them, and then on Tuesday nights, a motorcycle driver would come and pick up the stash of ads. And that ad would publish on Saturday. The newspaper in Mexico was about 3 inches thick, full of classified ads. And that was my first brush. And
that sounds incredible.
What were the classified ads generally for? Were they selling goods and services, or work, love letters, or what was the work?
Everything, personals. They weren't as specific as they are today, right? But I want to sell my blender. I want to sell my washing machine, my car. Cars were the most popular one. Employment and real estate, right? There still are the hottest categories in classified things: cars, employment, and real estate.
Interesting.
And that has been since 1977. Since I remember. Don't get me wrong, I was 9 years old, but talking about child labor, I had to work there.
Yeah,
but I wasn't forced though. Or maybe I was. I don't know. So
it sounds like you're forced. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I was forced. Get out there.
You were forced, but you got Bezos' cell phone number, so and you justify the means.
With that and $10, I can buy a Firehouse sandwich today for the national.
I don't know because I tried to get a Subway a while ago. It was like $18. I said, "What happened to the $5 subs?"
I have coupons and I have the rewards. So and the cell phone number. Remember, I have Jeff.
That's right. Yeah.
I know Jeff Bezos. Oh, here's $5 off. So your mother. So you saw this idea. You saw that it was lucrative. People are lining up. It's 3 inches thick. Everyone's selling shit. So when the internet came around, we like, oh shit, we should do that online.
Yeah, and it was pretty sad actually. We put the classified newspaper called Recycler online. It was fantastic. There were 2 classified websites.
Like a PDF, right? Is that what
like
you mean?
A PDF? Yeah.
Okay. So like a magazine, like you can flip through it, right?
You can flip through it. It wasn't very interactive. And there was another guy in the Bay Area that was doing the same thing. We had conversations with him, an Iranian guy that started something called eBay.
Never heard of
it. No, never heard of it. Is he still around?
He's still around. Yeah. I think he's retired, but enjoying.
So you knew the eBay guy.
Casual about it.
I don't know the eBay guy.
I met a lot of people, but I got to be honest with you. You're the most casual with these people. Like, these are 2 world leaders, and you're like, don't bother me. I'm busy.
But this was the entrepreneur. I was an employee, and I was a low pay. I was a marketing director or whatever my title was for the Recycler. I was pretty young, and the LA Times bought the Recycler at that time and completely destroyed the classified business.
Really?
And
that makes sense.
That was the end of that. Of course, that if you look at the story, LA Times didn't survive that transition, that radical transition of eliminating their bread and butter. The thing that was paying their bills, the classified ads, they just eliminated them because the internet was coming. And then I had the opportunity to work for the Cox family in Atlanta on autotrade.com. And at that time, when I was working at autotrade.com, we were the ugly duckling. They had the Atlanta Business Constitution, or prostitution, I think Russian would call it that. The newspaper, we control the news, and we have cable systems, and we have radio stations, and we have TV stations, and we're the Cox family. And you guys are autotrade.com, you sell cars, whatever. 20 years later, autotrade.com is Cox Media. They basically, the newspaper doesn't make any money. The news, they sold the radio stations, they sold the TV stations, but the classified ads on autotrade.com make $7-8 billion a year for them.
Oh my God.
And it's as simple as having a classified ad for a car, and for car dealers. I mean, there's very little private party there, but private party ads. So that's what it is. I mean, and now we have marketplaces. We have Amazon. We're living in historic times of what is happening. The phenomenon, the Stockholm syndrome that you mentioned, Rodney, earlier, is happening now on Amazon. There is a race. I don't know if you see TikTok or YouTube or before TikTok videos of people that are going to make you rich selling on Amazon.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Money while you sleep. Just
passive income, drop ship. That's all you have to do. Just pay a course. All I have to do is buy a course and I can be loaded.
That's one of the biggest frauds there is. They are just trying to sell you the $300-400 course. And unfortunately, I get a lot of those clients that invested $1 million, or they got a loan for $1 million to buy inventory because they wanted to conquer a category on Amazon. And that happens. You want to sell $1 million in goods on Amazon. It is very easy. You just have to invest $1 million in advertising.
Oh, that's it. That's not
just bad. Forget about cost of goods sold or your labor or returns or whatever.
Yeah, fucking throw it out.
Yeah, there's no profitability. Amazon doesn't.
So operate like a startup.
all the time, and they're going bankrupt, and it's very, very sad. Again, you will never conquer a category because there is, guess what? There's always a bigger guy. There's always a bigger Chinese guy that's going to come. It's surprising. You buy something on Shein or Temu or one of those Chinese platforms, and you buy imitation AirPods for $7, and they ship it from China.
Mm-hmm.
How the heck does that happen? If I want to ship this, if I'm in mainland China and I want to ship it to my house in LA, it's probably $70. How do they do that? It's unbelievable. So we're living in interesting times. There's a race of,
You say Amazon is going to collapse in 5 years. If I'm prognosticating, no, you didn't.
No. Sellers on Amazon are collapsing.
The sellers,
independent sellers in Amazon. Yes.
But isn't Amazon going to fuck itself? Because you talked about in another podcast how they'll just take anything back. Like their return policy is ridiculous, right? So you're fucking the sellers. At some point, if you keep fucking the sellers to benefit the buyers, the sellers are going to get fed up, right? I mean, if they're not making any money, or they're losing money.
Remember, passive income, drop ship. There's always a new fool that gets into the ball game, right? I'm going to sell on Amazon. Let me tell you what, I've been selling on Amazon for 13 years. I invented a breath tablet that was #1 on Amazon for many, many years, right? Mm-hmm. Herbal breath tablet, until Amazon found out how much money I was making, and they created their own.
Oh, that's the other thing they do. I know that. Oh, they're evil.
I know. And I used to pay.
So then you had to create an Amazon.
I had to create one for people like me, people that have.
He said, "I'll get you. You want to play games? I'll figure it out."
Yeah, I love this cat and mouse game that you're playing with Amazon because you did. All right, so I mean, you started your own online marketplace. So is the Mexican one the first one that you did? Because you have an American
Mexican one. Yeah, the Mexican one is the first one we did just because we wanted to test it. We wanted to try it. Amazon is not very popular in Mexico. It's Mercado Libre. It's another pretty big platform. eBay owned part of it at one point. Now we're number 5 as far as the number of products in Mexico. We have 120,000 products, over 1,500 sellers. And our secret is we charge very little commission. We do not touch the products. And we do not allow returns. So sellers love us. I mean, if something is broken or what have you, we do entice the return. But so that is in Mexico. And we started this year Uber in the US just to attract the restricted categories or the marginalized categories in Amazon. Self-defense items. Amazon doesn't like them. They consider them firearms, pepper spray or what have you. They do sell them. They do sell them, but only 2 or 3 sellers are allowed to do that. They're preferred, just like what they did with the mask and gloves and everything during pandemic. Only them. And
I read an article too in the Washington Post about that, how Amazon was actually raising the prices.
They're raising the prices. The Federal Trade Commission is investigating them, and there's a lawsuit that, thank God, because it is complete fraud. If you pay $140 a year, you will going to get free shipping, Mr. Prime member. Mm-hmm. That is such a lie. That is such a fraud. There is no free shipping. We, the sellers, pay the shipping.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm a Prime member, but I get it for the movies.
You're an altruist. Well, the other big problem with Amazon too is that they have your customer information, which is not good, right?
They have your customer information. They know what you bought, how you bought it, and why you bought it.
Do they share that with you, with the sellers? I don't know. I don't think about it.
No, they don't.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
So they're Amazon customers. They're not your customers.
Yeah. The Amazon customers, when you get a package delivered to your house, it comes from Amazon. It doesn't come from Elias or Rodney or right? It comes from Amazon. So you are an Amazon customer.
Yeah.
And it is a model that is. I mean, if you're a buyer, it's fantastic. You buy, you don't like it, you return it. If you're a seller, you're in big trouble. If you don't have a profit margin of 60, 70%, you cannot make money on Amazon, period, end of text. There's no other way around.
Yeah. So I'd imagine that's different with your platforms. So they get the customer information, you don't ship. So it's more transparent.
It is more transparent. They're not my customer, they're your customer. You can ship it on your own box. You can put coupons, you can do whatever you want on your own box. They are your customers. You get all the information, telephone numbers, email, and what have you. We're just facilitating the transaction.
So it is the idea of the classifieds, right? Like you're just putting it out there, and who buys what is up to you guys. And you take a piece, obviously, but
yeah. And we're launching in a couple of weeks a true, just plain and simple classified website, both in Spanish and in English. There is no effective or good classified website in Spanish. It's only 40 million people in the U.S. with that speak Spanish, right? Or maybe more. Yeah. So, yeah.
Are you considering calling it Craigslist? I think that's a good name.
Elias's List. No.
That's good. What is e-commerce 5.0?
Angie and Craig.
Angie and Elias.
List. You forgot List.
Sorry. What is e-commerce 5.0?
E-commerce 5.0 is the way it's supposed to be, right? Manufacturer shipping directly to the buyer. We're supposed to eliminate dealers. We're supposed to eliminate supermarkets. We're supposed to eliminate, I have to say it again, car dealers, right? Mm-hmm. It hasn't happened yet. It has to happen. Many, many years ago, if I wanted to sell my tablets in Walmart, I had to obey the Walmart rules, and I had to give them 50% of my profits and what have you. Amazon was supposed to eliminate that. E-commerce was supposed to eliminate that. Well, guess what? Amazon became worse than the retail chains. Amazon became worse than the supermarkets. You have to pay for shelf space. You have to pay for advertising. If you want to sell something, you have to pay them. Yeah. E-commerce 5.0 is a transparent way where Robin in Philippines is manufacturing a gadget, and he wants to sell it to Rodney in New York. That's it. That is the connection. There's no middleman. So e-commerce 5.0 is the way it's supposed to be. No people in the middle.
The middle crushed us. So we owned a beer shampoo company for a while. There's a bottle. So to stock this through FBA was $7 just to have it on the shelf. And then there was a million other like a packing fee, whatever. So the amount of money we had to charge for a bottle of shampoo to make $2 was like unfucking believable. So then you have to move volume, and then you have to pay for the advertising to move volume. So it's a tough game to win, man. I don't know how you do it, if it's even possible.
No, you don't. You don't. I mean, I have a consulting firm. I consult to 70-something clients that are Amazon sellers. Most of them have their own marketplaces, anywhere in Serbia, in Romania, in Europe, in Latin America, and nobody in the right mind is making true profits on Amazon. If the guys that are making some profit, they're barely making it. They're making $2 on a $100 sale,
right?
And they're not. It's very hard. Again, if you don't have the profit margins, and now you have the Chinese companies just cutting everybody off, and stupid people that go and buy from them, right? So, it's very attractive.
Yeah, you said FBA was made for Chinese manufacturers. Is that that's the genesis of it? That's what started, and then it just got crazy.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, if you see my inbox, I get at least one email a day from a Chinese manufacturer that said, "We manufacture this. Can we send you to your warehouse?" Like, no, we don't have a warehouse. I don't want to touch your products. I don't want to be responsible. So what they do is they hire a fulfillment house. Their prices increases 20%. and then they advertise with us, and they don't make any money. It's not a good business.
It's like, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Amazon has a great thing. Can't they just have their sellers make some money, and then the ecosystem can continue forever? The only thing that's going to destroy it is themselves, but they seem dead set on doing this. That's weird, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I mean, their plan is very simple. They want to be the manufacturer of the world. They want to be the distributor of the world. They're in complete partnership with China and other countries, and they're going to continue this way. I mean, they're finally after 20 years or so, 25 years, they're posting profits on their marketplace, which is amazing. They invested in planes, humongous warehouses with automated everything. I mean, have you ever seen? They do offer tours on the Amazon warehouses. They're just fantastically impressive. What these machines can do, right? So they have to make it work. But there is opportunity for other ones, right?
The manufacturing piece is so true, because if something sells a lot, they just start manufacturing it, sell it for less, and kick out the seller or price them out. So I used to work for a bonsai tree company, an bonsai e-commerce store. So we thought it was safe because we go, fucking Amazon's never get into plants. Why would they don't have? Guess what they did? They went to, so there's one bonsai tree nursery that every bonsai tree company buys their shit from. Mm-hmm. Amazon went to them and was like, you're a prime shipper now. So somebody orders, you need to get it out that day. What are they going to say? No, because they've just introduced their entire everyone that's on Amazon now can buy a tree from you, and we'll do the advertising. How do you compete with that? You can't.
You can. And you know what? At the beginning, I used to buy keywords on Amazon advertising for, I remember it was 13, 14 cents per click. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if somebody is looking for a bad breath pill, I would pay 15 cents for every click that I got on Amazon advertising for bad breath, the word bad breath. If I want to buy it today, it's $17 per click.
So let me, you get it. Woo. How much are the pills? Are they
$24? It's not worth it. I buy Google ads, drive into my website, and I make more money. My website is $24.99 for the tablet. On Amazon, I have to sell it at $40 to make money.
See, this is why the free market, it's tough. It's bullshit, because 13 cents is reasonable. Everybody was making money. Yeah. $70 is not reasonable. But without regulation, the market's not going to correct itself. All you do as the low man on the totem pole is get fucked. It's crazy.
But you know what? Regulation is never going to happen. We, the sellers, so the sellers have to regulate themselves and say, you know what? Enough. Amazon, I mean, Google AdWorks fantastically is the best thing you can, if you want to sell a product or you want to sell your services, you want to advertise a podcast, you want to advertise anything, Google is the only thing that works. Mm-hmm. And is reasonable, it's still very reasonable. And Google Shopping is fantastic. And Amazon, it has to be regulated by the sellers. But again, there is so many influencers and so many fake people out there telling everyone, what was the pitch? Money while you sleep, drop ship, passive income.
Passive income. Yeah.
Passive income.
So is there any hope for passive income if you're just running Google ads at this point for a product? Is the dream still alive, just somewhere else?
The dream's still alive somewhere else, your own store. Yes.
Okay, that's good. So your own store. Oh, you talk shit about Shopify too, because they take a cut of every
They take a cut, they own your data, they own your store. And the minute you say, okay, Shopify, I'm not going to pay you $40 a month fee or what have you, you're done. I mean, that's it. All your data goes, all your catalog goes. I mean, they control everything. I hate controlling stuff. It's not that I hate. Per experience, it does not work. It does not work for the entrepreneur.
Yeah, it doesn't work for you, but it works really well for Amazon. And
it's working for Jeff.
It's working for Jeff. Jeff's doing all right with the note. Well, anything they're interested should tell you that it's powerful, right? If they love the data, it's probably because there's money in that.
Right. Cash is king, data is queen. I mean,
yeah, that's true. That's a good saying. And you know what? There's always money in the banana stand.
There's always money. So, are you doing as well that you've shifted your advertising budget to Google as you were in the heyday of Amazon?
Profit-wise, yes. Sales-wise, no. I mean, our sales are down, but our profits are up. Isn't that amazing? I mean, we sell less bottles, but we make more money at the end of the month. It's just unbelievable.
And you think all the sellers, this must be a thing that Amazon sellers talk about. So a revolution is coming?
Revolution is coming, but we're fighting a lot of budgets. We're fighting Amazon's behemoth power, right? I mean, They're very smart. I mean, you see trucks, Amazon trucks everywhere.
Yeah.
And they're reinventing the wheel in shipping. The postal service, FedEx, UPS, and DHL.
Don't they own the postal service?
If they don't, they will soon.
You know, power to Trump. He tried to stop that, but I get the lobbyist just took the best out of him. But yeah, I mean, Amazon has 4 or 5 of the top lobbyists working for them in Washington. So
that's why we're not a democracy. We're not a republic. We're an oligarchy. You got enough money, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
That's why we're the best lobbyists. Yeah.
Exactly. And someday I hope we have lobbying dollars here at the Eric and Rodney show. This is why I'm trying to find out some passive income.
We don't even have a lobby.
We don't have a lobby yet, but
we have to start your 501c3, that's for sure, or C9 or whatever it is, a CPAC, and
we need one of those. Right. We need a product that we can sell and make money while we sleep. So eventually become rich enough to have a lobby. I mean, listen, we had you on for a reason. What are the products? Is there any gold? Is there any, what do you know? Is there any insider information? What should we be selling? What would be your advice since you're on the inside of this thing?
Things that Amazon doesn't want or are restricting, personal defense or, personal security stuff.
Scopes, sights, things like
that. Yeah. Well, that's the second category I want to mention. The accessories for firearms are big.
Yeah.
I mean, bass fishing, the number one sport as far as revenue in the United States is bass fishing. Number 2.
What? Bass fishing? I'm writing this down.
Bass fishing. Yeah. I mean, they buy all the gear, they get drunk, they lose it, and they have to buy a new one for the next fishing trip. So, but bass fishing is the number one revenue source of sports in the U.S. So, and Amazon doesn't like that because they think they're firearms. I mean, if you buy a flare gun because you need a flare gun for your boat, that's a firearm. It is a firearm. But anyway, yeah.
Wow, so it's really the categories are dwindling down in terms of things, Amazon. So it's got bass fishing and firearms. That's it? Oh, that's
hunting, bass fishing, firearms, personal defense are categories that are hot. We all need it. I mean, we're living in the Wild West. This is Los Angeles, New York, are Mad Max territory, right?
Yeah.
Where you literally have to carry a gun to go and pump gas. It is, yeah.
I noticed that there's sex toys on Amazon, so that's out. So they don't give a shit about that.
I mean, they make money with that. That's a category that they literally control.
Just had a high school bass pro competition. I live in this country, and I would have never have guessed that we have high school bass competitions. What?
You're in the Northeast. Melissa's probably in the South. That's why
she is. She is in the South. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I went to high school. I went to high school with a guy. And his father, believe it or not, now that you mention it, it got me thinking. He was a professional. I'm not making this up. A professional bass fisher on the Walmart. I think it was Walmart. I don't know who has it now on the Walmart Pro Bass Fishing Tour.
Walmart.
He got paid to fish. I don't know if they still sponsor it, but yeah, like Cabela's was a sponsor. Like it's a big deal because I was thinking like, how hard is it to fish?
Right.
I was never very good though.
Isn't it just standing on the shore and hoping for the best? Isn't that what
I'm telling you though? This guy, one time I remember like when I was in high school, his father caught like 15 or 20 fish in like a 30-minute span. And I remember, I would tell you the truth. We had a pond when I was growing up and I couldn't catch a fish out of it.
Huh. You know what's weird about bass? You don't see it on a menu a lot. Do you ever see bass on a menu? Like
I don't even know how it tastes.
I don't either.
I see sea bass, but never just bass.
No. Chilean sea bass.
Yeah, Chilean sea bass. You're right. Yeah.
But like fish and chips,
but that's the only bass.
Well, right? Don't you think if there's competitions, it's the fastest growing sport? Where the fuck is bass on the menu? Bass and chips. I don't know.
Bass sandwiches in the menu.
Well, that's what I'm saying. At this time next year, the number one sandwich in the United States.
In another opportunity, we'll talk about the history of the croissant.
I love croissants. Oh, so buttery and flaky.
Too.
That's one of the better breads, I think.
2 seconds, 1 minute. The French invented the croissant, and that was after I think one of the Crusades or one of the. It is a catch and release deal.
There you go.
So you
learn everything. Yeah. The bass live to be hunted another day. Okay, so I'm sorry. I do want to learn about the croissant. What is it?
So the croissant was made into the form of the moon, and the moon is the the little crescent moon.
Yeah.
Crescent moon.
Oh.
And that was the Muslim flag. And when the French and the British defeated the Muslims in one of the Crusades, they created this pastry to celebrate that they defeated the Muslims. And
wow, that's unbelievable.
Wow, that's a wild story.
That's a wild story.
You buried the lead.
I know. What an odd flex to win a war and go, now we're going to do a celebratory pastry.
It sounds very French. That's like that. You know what though? I can tell you that sounds very French.
That's some real petty shit.
But I will beat you, and we're going to make a pastry.
A celebratory pastry. That's fucking delicious, by the way. It's unbelievable.
It is. I mean, more butter and sugar. But yeah, it's delicious. Yeah.
Well, I will say this: if you take that list of best sandwiches and you do the bacon, egg, and cheese on a croissant, now I will allow it in the top 5.
It goes from here to here. Yeah.
Okay. 1,000%. I think most sandwiches should be on a croissant.
Yeah.
A cheeseburger on a croissant.
Perhaps all of them.
It's one of the finest breads.
I don't know about burgers, Ronnie, but yeah, that's okay. But yeah, ham and eggs on a croissant with cheese. Just
delicious.
Have you ever had a lobster roll on a croissant? I had it one time. It was cereal.
I haven't. No.
It's like licking God.
I haven't had
pastries. Every war should be selling. Hear me out.
Eventually, we'll be so big we can't get off the couch.
But don't you think every time we win a war, we should get all our best pastry chefs and have like a competition to see who makes
We should have an eat-off.
We should have
but you know what? It's all about the gluten. You know, you go to France and people eat croissants and bagels and not bagels, baguettes.
Baguettes, I know.
All the times and sandwiches and they're skinny.
I don't know. I can't. Yes, I know. I can't.
I love gluten. Every time I go, I say to you guys, I only eat with gluten. So if you don't have some, put a little in, double gluten, or I send it back.
Me too.
I'll send it back.
Here's the other thing too. When I went to Portugal and Italy, ordering a glass of wine isn't a thing. You order a bottle of wine and you drink the whole fucking thing. So like they're drinking more than we are. They're eating more gluten. How the fuck are they better looking than us?
Yeah, because they have no gluten. Yeah, I guess there's one of those conspiracy theories documentaries on the History Channel. We're having gluten and the whole industry that is making America fat, right? And there are a couple of evil companies that are making us fat, right?
More gluten, more dairy, more bacon, egg, and cheeses, I think, is the key.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, but, one of the businesses that we can do is go to France and buy flour.
That's right.
Bring it here and sell it on Amazon.
No, we're skipping Amazon. We're buying some AdWords on Google.
Sell it on Uber. Sell it on Uber. Yeah.
We're out.
That's right.
Oh yeah, exactly. Okay, listen, we have to log off, but listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to sell croissants and you want to make some money, you do it on Uber.com. Head on over there. All right, we have to log off. It's over an hour. Elias, please stick around in the green room for 2 minutes.
Sure.
But for the rest of you, goodbye, America. We'll see you Monday. It's going to be a great show.